Poppin', real ones. Logan Murdock here, Raja Bell there. Friday vibes. Going to talk about peaking down the stretch today and which teams are doing the right things down the stretch. But first, this came down. I just saw the video earlier. I'm not sure if Raja saw the video, but I do have a question for you, Raja. And it's more of just an education. I'm not sure if you saw the Stephen A. LeBron James exchange that is going viral. Okay. That is going viral this morning. And it has to deal with LeBron confronting Stephen A. courtside, and in Cliff's words, crashing out, as the kids would say, on Stephen A. And it's alleged like that it's based on comments that Stephen A. has said on First Take. I don't really watch First Take like that, but he's basically been going in on Bronny. And the question that I have, because I think this is a very nuanced thing to talk about, right? On one hand, Stephen A. has been talking about how basically stuff that has just been out there that other people have speculated about, that Bronny is in the league because of his father and, you know, all the storylines that come with that. My question to you, though, Raja, is like, Bronny is not just LeBron's son. In this case, he is a basketball player and a professional basketball player that is subject to scrutiny of all kinds, right? Just not only in this media landscape, but in media landscapes for decades before him. How do we talk about this? I don't even know how to talk about this situation, because on one hand, Bronny is LeBron's teammate, but he's also his son, and Bronny is inherently going to be talked about for the rest of time because of that. I just don't know how we tread these waters, right? Like, LeBron can't go after everybody that's saying the exact same thing, and I just don't know how we go through this. I just want to talk this out because I have no idea how we do this.
Yeah, I don't know either. I saw the comments, and so then I went back and I kind of looked up some of the Stephen A. Smith comments on Bronny and LeBron. And I actually did watch the First Take segment today just to kind of see how he was going to address that. Ultimately, I think Stephen A. was right when he went on this morning and said that the person that was talking to him last night was not the NBA GOAT, potentially. This was a dad. This was someone that was in his feelings and feeling very protective about a child. And for those of us who have children, you can get that way. Like, none of us are above that. Like, when you feel like they're threatened. Having said that, I don't believe that Stephen A., from what I could find on record, from him having said, I don't know that he crossed any lines. He was just kind of stating facts, and it never really went after Bronny in terms of the human being, what he could potentially be as a player one day, given the opportunity and the time. It was more along the lines of LeBron put him in the crosshairs of scrutiny and media scrutiny because of things that he did. And if I'm being honest, what I took away from it, like after I distilled it all and watched it again, was I think that probably hit LeBron kind of in the spot of truth, where he, upon reflecting, was like, look, yeah, I wanted this for Bronny. Like, it's all there, the comments that were made, about drafting him and about him being better than some people in the NBA right now, and just his, like, you put him in the position to where he is on an NBA team, and you two are living the dream, and nobody begrudged you that. I was on here saying it was a beautiful moment. Like, that was really cool to watch. Having said that, he's an NBA player. And when you're an NBA player, I've said this a million times, as others have, like, you sign up for a certain amount of scrutiny, for a certain amount of living in this fishbowl, and just, sometimes because of your level of fame and inability to maneuver around and do the things that ordinary people get to do because of your celebrity. And so I don't think you can have your cake and eat it too if you're LeBron. Like, you got what you wanted. Your son's playing in the NBA. I having kids and being in front offices when we as a staff were evaluating players, you're always going to, Like, so, okay, so when I sat in the front office and I didn't know this, someone asked me the question and it was really kind of rhetorical. They were just trying to, give me the information. They asked, what is the number one coming out of the womb percent increaser of someone being a pro athlete? Like when they're little guys, before you can even tell anything, like what would give one kid a leg up on another kid? And it's if your mom or your dad was a professional athlete. Like that's a factual thing. You have a leg up already. And so I can understand someone taking a swing at MJ's kid or a LeBron's kid or any other professional athlete's kid, given apples to apples comparison, right? Because you're saying, hey, man, I'm going to roll the dice on somebody who's been raised in that, who's got someone that showed him the way, all the things that go along with that. But in a lot of instances, the argument was like you weren't comparing Bronny at the time as an apples to apples to other players that might have been warranting that type of draft position. And I think if you look through the numbers and the time at Southern Cal and stuff like that, I don't believe Stephen A to be wrong on that. I'm also not mad that he's in the NBA and LeBron was able to kind of dictate that. But then you don't get to turn around and say you can't talk about the situation. I don't think you're allowed to do both.
I think this has to be an interesting time for LeBron James, just all the way through, right? Because this is a guy that has so much power. I don't think that there's been a player in NBA history that has had as much power as he has had, right? To get the Lakers, not to just put him to draft Bronny as like just some two-way player, right? Or just pick him up as a free agent, to draft him and give him a fully guaranteed deal, right? After all of the other things that LeBron has like been able to do to get his son the opportunities that he has. Because like, let's make no mistake, like there's a lot of opportunities that Bronny has gotten because of LeBron James. I mean, that's just an unequivocal fact. But you talked about how LeBron is getting pushback. Guys like LeBron ain't used to getting pushback on anything, right? Just for the immense power that they hold. So I gotta think that it is something that is jarring for him that he is going through, and also like, let's give respect to the fact that this is pretty unprecedented, right? Like no one knows how to deal with this because it's never happened before. Like we could talk about Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr., but like Ken Griffey Jr. was that dude coming into the major leagues. It wasn't that Ken Griffey Sr. was like, yo, get my son. Nah, Ken Griffey Jr. was going to be a top pick. This is a little bit different. And I think LeBron is now going through just a jarring thing. Like the first time he's gotten criticism, but this is a bit different. Like this is something that hits home in a different way. And I got to think that this is something that I don't know if he wasn't expecting, but he's going about it like he wasn't expecting this, which is very interesting.
It's very interesting, Logan, because, as parents, we live our life. Like, let's say me, for instance, I lived my life and got to live my dream, right? And I did that for more time than I ever thought I'd have an opportunity to do it for. And then my kids come around and I'm living vicariously through them, watching them try to live their dreams. And again, sometimes that hits you harder and you're even more proud and you're even more excited and you're even more nervous for them than you were when you were doing it. And I say that to say that LeBron's only seen the NBA through King James spectrum.
Eyes.
Like he's only seen it through those goggles, right? The treatment that comes along with that, the things that you're privy to, and that's his reality. Well, now he's getting a dose living through his son at the same time, like simultaneously is wild. But like you're also watching your son live a very different reality of an NBA life. I mean, but you can't even say journeyman at this point, right? Because the jury's out. The jury's out. Like I don't say that to be disrespectful, but like he's so early in his career that you don't really know if he's a journeyman or not.
More so in the case of like he's going to G League games, right? Like he's still finding his own path. He's not like he's treated like a star because of his dad, but he's not going through that. He's at the end of the bench.
Yeah, but the criticism, the debate as to whether or not you should be on a roster, like those are things reserved for the me's of the world. Like LeBron never lived that. And having to live it through your child vicariously as he's going through it is a really wild dynamic. Like, and it's really interesting. And like I said before, sometimes what that child's living and what they're going through hits you harder than what you have going on in your own world. Same exact thing could have happened to you, and you might have been able to let it roll off your back like a water off a duck.
Yeah.
But it happens to your kid, and you go into Papa Bear mode. So like it's very, very interesting. I would just say again, and LeBron's smart enough to know this. You're absolutely right. He's used to getting his way. Not mad at him for that. Like when you have the type of leverage and you're the type of human being and player that he's been, like you have the right to be dictating circumstances most of the time. Ain't nobody mad at you for that. But in this one, when you put him in the NBA and you get him in the NBA, and let's be clear, you got him in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Like, can we agree to that?
We can agree.
I don't think this is really debatable, is it? Once he's there, it's open season for conversation on what he's doing statistically, what he's doing, in terms of production as it relates to his peers and other people that would have been drafted in that class or in that area of a draft. And I don't think you can shield him from that at that point. That once you've gotten there, this is the holy grail. We've gotten to this elite fraternity. Kudos to the whole game plan. But now once he's there, it's open. Like people are allowed to say what they say.
Yeah, it's gonna. The other part that's gonna be wild to see is when LeBron is no longer in the league, right? Because you can't fight them battles on the court like that, bro. It's gonna be a lot different when it's just Bronny. We don't know how long Bronny's gonna be in the league, right? Like we have no idea. It's not promised. So
the life of a player drafted. What number was Bronny drafted?
55th.
The life of that player without the name Bronny James. All right, is very, very, very precarious as it relates to like being in the NBA. That shit is touch and go at best, And so
that's why when you see dudes make it out of the second round, they're like perpetually scared. Like
no,
LeBron,
yeah.
like Draymond Green is perpetually scared of somebody taking his job, and he's Draymond.
Yeah,
Green. You know what I'm
saying? And
he's
Draymond, right? Like that's that outlier. Like the regular 54th pick is
you never heard of him.
You never heard of him, dude. The G exists, but like back in my day, that was you probably bounce around in the CBA a bit. You'd be playing in the IBL a little bit. Like you might catch on for a while. Like your life was, when you say journeyman, like not a journeyman as an NBA player, like a true journeyman of a pro basketball player. Might pop over to Europe a little bit. Yeah, man. Yeah. And so, I don't know what ultimately Bronny becomes. Like I too hope that he develops into a really good player given the opportunity. I was in the camp of people that thought it was a bit of a miss that you said, when they weren't going to let him play in the G League games and stuff like that, because I think the development is key for him and getting on the floor and playing. And I hope it works. I hope he turns into a player, but like, make no mistake, that pick, generally speaking, is someone picked in that area. The hit or miss ratio isn't great.
I just think that and I know it's not going to happen, but like for Bronny, I just wish the lights went off a little bit for him. You get what I'm saying? Like in a good way. Like I wish that like he could kind of find his own way, and because like every good or bad thing is like on the top of my fucking Instagram feed, right?
But see, that's what I think that's what Stephen A was trying to say.
Yeah,
when he had that, on his show whenever he was doing it and stuff like that. It wasn't a jab at Bronny. It was more like, hey, because of LeBron just being your dad, there's already so much like attention that's brought to it. And then when you kind of, maneuver it around and work it and move a couple pieces, like those lights just get brighter and brighter and brighter. And I'm going to say, I think that was fair to point out.
Yeah. Let's talk about the game itself, because I thought one of the great games this season, Knicks Lakers last night.
Yeah.
Wow. And I wanted to come into this discussion yesterday. I kind of like figured like, let's talk about, what it's like to during a stretch run and what it's like to be peaking at the right time or like not peaking at the wrong time. And I thought this game was really a great microcosm of that, because you have two teams that are going in two different directions. I mean, geez, pour one out for Jalen Brunson, because that was tough. But you see the Knicks, who played really hard last night, wanted to win a game on national television, against a top team in the league. They're now 0-10 against top 3 teams in the league after last night's loss. And then you have the Lakers, who seem to be ascending, right? And seem to be finding themselves. My question to you is, I want you to get into the psyche of both types of teams. What are you trying to do as a Knicks team at this point, like to get above water? And as the Lakers, how are you trying to sustain this type of momentum?
I mean, that's a good question, Logan.
We waxing poetic on Friday, Ra. We locked in.
That's a really big question. If you're the Lakers, I think the approach that I would be taking if I were them was, we've won in a lot of different ways. Like last night, I didn't think they were awesome defensively throughout the course of the game, but they locked in and really locked down when they needed to, and they just kept at it. Like it was one of those kind of playoff type games where you just keep at it, you just keep at it, you just keep at it. Down 10 with like 6 minutes to go, and because you stayed with it, you got just that little crease of time when Jalen Brunson was off the floor. You caused some turnovers, bad possessions, and hit a couple shots, and now we're in the game. Like, I think if I'm them, I'm saying, hey man, we are relatively new together, and we are finding out something new about ourselves like almost every game, and I'm excited about what this could look like if we just kind of make sure that we know defense is our calling card, and offensively, I think they're exploring a lot more the way that offense looks now. Luka has the ball. This is what I was talking about a couple weeks ago. Luka has it. He starts it. He gets it off. He gets off of it. He gets it back. Right? Like he was kind of dictating what happens there, and people are playing off of him. I think finding out how that works at its peak is important. How it works when LeBron has the ball and he's the driving engine of it. But like we want to be like this duality of an offensive team when we get into the playoffs. So like we can look like the one where Luka is the engine, and we can look like the one where LeBron is the engine, and just continue to explore those things. So I guess I'm saying a lot to say, if we hang our head on this defense, and we know that's got to be our calling card because we don't have that margin for error, and we're excited about what we could potentially continue to build into offensively and finding different ways to win games. And so, although it's late in the season and a lot of people are hitting like the dog days of it, for them, they shouldn't be, because this is like a rejuvenation. You've seen it in LeBron. Like there should be a level of rejuvenation there of just energy and spirit and excitement that kind of fuels them down the stretch, right? Like you'd probably see them getting better and peaking down the stretch. As far as the Knicks go, I think this is a tough one, but last night was who they are, right? Like in that they were scrapping and competing and controlling the game for most of it. Like they had a nice little buffer for most of the game. They kept the game grimy. You saw Josh Hart all over the boards doing what he did. Like they don't have nearly enough outside of Brunson and Cat people that really can make the plays. You know what I mean? Like, and so the Lakers did a good job on Cat last night, and he didn't have a big night. And what happened to the Knicks was they were right there until that 6 minute mark in the fourth. It was closed for the most part. The Lakers had to have the run that they had when Brunson was off the court that last time to get back into the game. If they don't have that run, they're out of the game. And he went off the fucking court, and nobody else could get a bucket. Well, no, it wasn't even that no one could get a bucket. It was that no one could get his teammates in a position to get a bucket or get a bucket for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you had some loose possessions. The Lakers were back in the game. And that's the Knicks to me, right? Like there's a lot of good. Like I really like them. Cat solved a lot of that when Cat's playing well and they're playing off of each other. But if any one of them is kind of taken out of the game for whatever reason, the other ones, you can't sit.
And then you're talking about like the defensive woes that Brunson does have when he is on the floor, right? Same with Cat, right? Like you have to mitigate that in a playoff series.
Well, you do, but they weren't. I mean, like they did a good job defensively last night. Like they weren't really exposed. But you're 100% right. In a playoff series, you would have to factor that in. But I thought they did good last night. I
They
think
did. Especially
it was
defending the 3-point line too. I think I don't know the last part, but I think down the stretch they were holding the Lakers to like sub 30% from the 3.
I mean, they were like 1 for 15 for a minute, and then like Dalton Connect
Vincent
hits a couple, Vincent hits a few. Yeah, opened up. LeBron hit 2 big ones.
Yeah. So in a perfect world, what do you want to see out of a team? Now we're talking about just in a general sense. What are you trying to look for around this time of the season when you're heading into the playoffs?
Health, and good minute distribution, so that I can, if I'm healthy already, I can make sure we stay healthy. Principles that we shouldn't still be having to have the same we shouldn't be having to have the same conversations as a staff when we get into meetings. Like this, by now we know what we're doing for almost all situations. We've seen them enough where there's enough of a sample size, having played said teams. I mean, there might be one-offs if we're playing a Western Conference team and we're in the Eastern Conference that we don't see a lot, but generally speaking, there are going to be mistakes made, but I just want to be able to see consistently that we're doing the right thing and we understand what we're trying to do. I want to be healthy going into the playoffs. I want to get people as much rest as I can get them and still find way to win games. And then for whatever it's worth, and this is the psyche of a team, I want to know guys are fresh mentally. I want to do what I can, as a staff, to not just keep them fresh physically, but keep them fresh mentally.
Does that mean like player outings and stuff? Does that mean like games?
Could be. I think that
hijinks.
Yeah, I think that depends on the makeup of your team, like who you have, the age of the roster, like what guys like to do together and stuff like that. Like I've told the story before about, going out to like LA with when I was with the Cavs, and I was supposed to have something going on, and Griff and company, and we were like, let's scrap that. We're gonna just take them bowling today. Like, we got a lot going on. Like stuff's heavy.
When was that? And with the Cavs, when was that?
This would have been, it was the year before we won. What was that? 15, and we were out in LA. We were talking.
Was this like when Bron was in Miami at that time? Was he in Miami or was he with the team?
No, he was with the team. He was with the team because I remember going out. Like we took him bowling. I remember going out. We took him bowling. I was the only person on the road trip from the front office staff. So we took him bowling. We did that. Kevin Love was in a little bit of a funk, so I had to call Kev and be like, "Hey, man, you got that's kind of like home." It was like home base for him. I think LA he played at UCLA and stuff like that, and so he wasn't at the hotel. So I had to call him and get him to meet us over there because I thought that was really important that he be at something like that, like because that's where like. This isn't about basketball now. We're going to hang out. Guys get a little competitive. Like that type of guy gets competitive about anything. So when you take him into another arena like that and they start talking shit about bowling and they're laughing and they're having fun, like you don't get the same level of guarded like protection of turf that you do when you're in an NBA locker room. So like, organically people get to see each other in a different light just for the competitor that they are. You know what I mean? So like I called Kev Love, and then we went about our business for the rest of the day. And I remember going out to dinner, and when I came back, forget what hotel we were at, but it had a little courtyard. And the courtyard had like a big ass, like, I don't know, 20 or 30 person table out there. This was like 11 something when I was walking back. The team, not everybody, but there's probably about 12, maybe 8 to 12 guys sitting down there, with a couple bottles of wine, just drinking wine together and hanging out. Right. And that's important. Like that. Now that wasn't that this late in the season, I don't think, but like something that keeps them, if they're not connected at this point, or if it's getting heavy, if you feel the mood in the locker room, just getting old because we are deep into a season, you just want to try to keep them fresh. Whatever that looks like to you.
I think you guys went on if I remember that season correctly, you guys were treading water throughout the season, right? Like it was like you guys were. It was like hovering around 500 for most of that season, and then went on a run. I think you guys won 50-something games.
Yeah, that sparked the run. I mean, it wasn't the bowling. It wasn't the bowling outing and stuff like that sparked the run, but that trip sparked the run.
Yeah. I think didn't you guys play like Phoenix or something? I don't know. I played Phoenix that trip or something.
Did we beat the Clippers or the Lakers that night? It's so long ago, dog. But like we that trip sparked. It sparked a run. It sparked a run that it kind of ties into what you're saying, right? Like you want to be coming down the stretch. You want to be playing good basketball. You want to be locked in. You want to be fresh. You want to be loving each other. You want to remind yourself what this was at the start of the season. Everybody goes to training camp. Vibes are high when you get back to training camp. We all know what type of teams think they can win a championship when you get in the locker room. Yeah. Like, I've been on teams where you were like, yeah, we can win one. And I've been on teams where you already know we're not winning a fucking championship. So you got to remind yourself, late in the season, man, what were those vibes like when we were in training camp, dog? You remember that? The energy was high. We were excited.
We were in Flagstaff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember before we go to break, I remember this is giving me memories of like my prep career. And I know I don't talk a lot about my prep career, but remember when my junior year of high school, like we were trying to like win state. Like that was like our whole big thing, right? And one of the biggest games that we had to win that year was against Pittsburgh High School. And it was like one of those early like non-league games where like you gotta have them. And we had all gotten sick as a team, right? So like this is around Monday where we're all kind of sick. Coach is just like telling us, yo, chug this with emergency, bro. You're gonna be good. So instead of practicing all week, we kind of just like chilled and like watched film, but like and talked shit to each other and just kind of did more cerebral things. But that was the first time. It was like we were reintroducing ourselves to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And we wound up kicking Pittsburgh's ass. And it was like the biggest win of the season. And usually those games, like you get really procrastinated. Like if it was any other week and we didn't practice that week, I think we only did a walkthrough all week, we would have been like, fuck, man, we're not prepared. But we came in probably the most locked in we'd ever come in to the game. Yeah. And I think it was like in a different way, like how you guys were, just reintroducing yourselves to yourselves. Like, oh, this is a team and we like these guys. You know?
Yeah. 100%. And now that I'm kind of like in this time machine and I'm thinking about the good teams I was on later in the season, so when you go to training camp, like you're doing a lot of stuff together. Like every night we were at this time. Like I don't know what today's NBA player does necessarily, like, but we be going out to dinner together. Like everybody's excited. You got practice in the morning, so you're in early, but like you're hanging out, and then you get into the season and everybody's got their goals that they came into, both from a team perspective and an individual perspective. And sometimes those can preoccupy you a little bit. You got stuff going on. But I always felt like late in the season, like this time of year, the better teams I was on, we started doing things together again on road trips a bit. Like we were going out to dinner a little bit more. We were going out for drinks, like just to go out and like in bigger little groups and stuff like that. We were doing things to just stay connected and reconnect. And I don't even know if it was planned. I mean, I certainly wasn't the one planning it, but it just kind of worked out like that, where we'd just be out like trying to have a good time, especially, we don't have a game the next day, like, and we're in a city, we're gonna go out, try to have a good time and eat a meal together and laugh and talk some shit just to be bonded, man, just to be bonded and remember that at the end of the day, this should be fun.
Sometimes the best strategy is vibes. And on that note,
real talk.
We're going to take a break. You can cash in on Ballin' Out with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because every Friday night, The Ringer is teaming up with FanDuel to give all customers 30% profit boost when you pick a player to score more than 30 points. So now, a big game for them means an even bigger payout for you. Let's take a look at the slate. Tonight, we got the Cavs and the Hornets, so I'm taking the over on LaMelo Ball. He's averaging 26.2 points a game. He definitely going to get that 30 pop. Going to take the Jazz Raptors. I'm not watching the game, but if you do, I would suggest taking the over. That should be a fun one. Suns Nuggets, that will also be an interesting one. I think I'm going to take the over on points from Kevin Durant and the over on points and rebounds from Nikola Jokic. FanDuel is the home for all of your favorite sports prop bets. So whether you want to ride with my picks or make your own, just look for 30 on 30 in the FanDuel Sportsbook app or head over to FanDuel.com/BringerNBA for your chance to score an even bigger payout this Friday night. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states, or 18 and older and present in D.C. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. And we are back. Okay, Raja, I'm going to give you a list of teams, and you're going to tell me what they need to do and what they shouldn't do during the stretch run.
Okay. Wait, elaborate a little bit. What do you mean what they should do? Like in terms of
I was going to let you just figure it out after I asked you the question.
So you're just gonna lob real vague, big like okay.
Okay, here we go. What do you want to see from these teams, and are they peaking too early? Does that
okay?
Does that work?
Yep. I like that.
All right, man. I mean, I thought you could have did it the other way, but I'll give you some help. I thought you could have did it the other way.
Maybe I do it the other way anyway.
All right, probably. All right. We already talked about the Lakers. So let's talk about the Cavaliers. They are the best offense since All-Star break, 8-0. They're in the Raja zone of top 10 in offensive and defensive efficiency all season.
Yep.
What do you want to see from this team, and are they peaking too early?
No, first, I don't think they're peaking too early. I think this is who they are. I think obviously the addition of DeAndre Hunter has been huge for them. What do I want to see them do? Just don't fall asleep at the wheel. Continue to do what you do. Continue to explore what you look like with DeAndre Hunter. I don't think it's a mystery. Like he's been great, but like it's not unlike the Luka situation with the Lakers. Like you don't know what that fully looks like in this much time. You understand what I'm saying, Logan? So not anything that would take you out of whack as an offense. You're not going to change who you are as like with your DNA as a team or anything, but like he gives you another interesting matchup defensively out there and offensively for that matter. So I do not believe they're peaking too early. I firmly believe that this is who they are. If I had to say anything, figure out how to not get down early to Boston, because that's not what happened the last time where you guys had to come back the way you did. I don't think that's a sustainable model, but just don't fall asleep at the wheel.
I think the other thing that I would want to ask, because you referenced Luka and you referenced DeAndre Hunter situation, right? When you're including a new guy into the fold, how many of those games do you need where you're grinding it out and you're figuring shit out where it's not as easy as it's supposed to be? How many of those games do you need down the stretch if you're Cleveland, Lakers, or any of these teams I'm about to name with new additions?
With new addition, 5. I mean, you want a handful of last night's games if you're the Lakers. You don't need 15 or 20 games like that. I mean, you give yourself 5-7 games where like these are like tough, physical, possession by possession down the stretch type of games. Then we know what we're cooking with going into the more of a playoff atmosphere, So maybe 7 to 10. Logan, like we're talking about how many games left. What are we saying? 62 right now for the Cavs. So I mean, you got 20 games left. I think it's unrealistic for half of your games to be like that. So I'd say like the 7 games where we got to really grind it out. We got to really be sound principle wise. We got to figure out who's going to have this ball late in the games and how we're going to act off of that. And then we got to win it possession by possession down the stretch, which is going to be like a playoff situation. I think 7 of those would suffice.
Let's talk about you ready to come back to the Bay, Rob? You ready to get on a plane, man? It's sunny outside, 70 degrees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's go back to SFL. Let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. What do you want to see from them? And are they peaking too early or are they right on time?
No. Look. Well, I'm going to say the same thing about all of these teams that had a major makeover or at the trade deadline. Can't be peaking. I don't think you're peaking too early. Like you are just scratching the surface of who you can be. Now, you could make an argument that there's this honeymoon phase, and that would be, contradictory to what I'm saying. But I don't believe that to be the case. Well, let me clarify, because I said you would get a honeymoon stage with Jimmy Butler, right? Like, but I think that would last a while. Like, I don't think that's just like a couple week thing. I think the honeymoon phase could be a season or 2. Like, do you know what I mean? Until well, shit, if he's locked in, it might be longer than that. But I think the way they play, the style that they play is very sustainable. I think they do have to continue to figure out, what I would say to them is they have to continue to figure out in the games that we were just referencing, those 7 like contested, grind it out, get a win. They have to continue to figure out the ratio of Steph to Jimmy offensively, right? And really identify what Jimmy does. I would be giving real doses of offense to Jimmy Butler in situations, so I figure out exactly how I need to use him. Like I'm dialed into who he is, what he wants to do, what we can do to get him where he wants to be in tough situations, so that when I need to pull that out in the playoffs, because the game plan was to stop Steph, that we've got that figured out. We're not learning that on the fly, right? 20 games is more than enough time to do that, but I think they're fine. Like, I do not think they're peaking too early.
I think the way that they're going to use Jimmy Butler, or the way they have used Jimmy Butler effectively, is they have put him in the middle of the key and let him go to work there. And they've also done it on the non-Steph minutes. Like, they stagger him and Steph now. And that has done wonders. I got some stats here. He's producing, but Jimmy Butler is producing 20.210 win shares per 48 minutes with Golden State. The only other players that are doing that is Jokic, Shea, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's where he is at right now, and the impact that he is making at this point. But the thing that I think that is going to could hinder the Warriors is if Jimmy doesn't stay healthy. Because you see when they played against Charlotte and he didn't play, they were a totally different team. Like, they can still get offense, but their defense is so bad when Jimmy's not on the floor and Jimmy's not dictating things, right? And a bigger thing is, I think the Warriors are also like, there's a lot of guys on the Warriors that are just kind of playing for their employment next season. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of guys like Draymond, for instance. Well, like, there was a chance he was going to get traded in over this break, and if things go bad, there's a chance he could get traded in the summertime, right? Like, if this all goes bad, this team could still look very different. And I think a lot of people recognize that and are playing accordingly. You know what I'm saying? I think you have a little bit more incentive there as well.
Great motivator. Great motivator. You know what's crazy, man? Because that's Elite Company you just referenced with him with the 2.1 win shares per. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I really don't. I really don't even know what it means. Like, I'm sorry.
Can I be real? Can I be real?
Yeah.
I just wanted to get into my stats bag, but honestly, like, I just want to say that they're good, and I don't like. I can say that without stats, right? Because I
like the stats. I just don't know what it means.
I don't fucking know, bro. Like, that in some ways contributing to winning, bro. I could have just told you that he's been contributing to winning in the same way that, like, Giannis and Shea are. But damn, bro, like, I just tried to do.
No. I was appreciative of the stat. I was actually going to say something about it when you dropped the stat on me. Like, okay, we out here doing the research.
We doing the research.
That's an indictment on my own ignorance. I don't know what's a win share. I don't know what that means. How do you quantify that? I should do some homework.
Were you a good math guy?
I was not bad at math. I don't think I was not that bright, but I was
like
okay
your trigonometry. Was your trigonometry good? Or are you more of an algebra row guy?
Well, what? Bro, I'm 48 years old, dude. I'm struggling with 7th grade math when Zen brings it home right now, dog.
You over here like
that long.
You got the readers are on for no reason when the math comes out, huh?
I was good with them for a while, and then don't even get started on.
Yeah, bro. I'm very scared about when the math homework conversation is going to come on in the Murdock household. I'm really scared. I got 2 syllables for you. Tutor. Oh, fuck. Let's get back to it. The Boston Celtics. What do you want to see from this team, and are they peaking too early? They are
no.
Middle of the pack defensively since the All-Star break, 5-2. They did have that loss to Cleveland after what the hell? I was going to roast them, but never mind. After they lost to Cleveland.
Yeah. They did. They fumbled.
Did they deserve the benefit of the doubt that we continue to give them? Like, because I still am on the fence of like, yo, if they play against each other in the playoff series, I'm choosing Boston. But like, is that teetering for you, or like, are they just in the weeds or figuring it out? Okay,
I'm taking Boston. Now Cleveland has, I think, closed that gap, but I'm taking Boston. I'm taking the team that's done it before. I'm taking the team with the proven entities. on that stage over and over again. They fumbled the bag against Cleveland and then turned around and half the roster was out, and Peyton Pritchard and Derek White both had 40.
Amen.
In a game.
Real quick.
How wild is that? Huh?
I want to just give flowers to Peyton Pritchard. We haven't done that, I don't think, ever on this podcast, but he used to just be the guy that would just hit them annoying ass threes at the end of quarters, right? And then everybody in Boston would tell you, look out for Peyton Pritchard. Look out for Peyton Pritchard. I think one of the funniest rumors I'd ever heard was, Peyton Pritchard, if this doesn't work out, he might want out of Boston. This was like 3 years ago. And I'm like, okay. But now he's like a legitimate dude. He's out here balling his ass off. I mean, you saw him in the last year in the playoffs making big shots, but he's like carried that over and he's kicking ass this year. Just want to give space to that.
Well, no, absolutely. I think that's a testament to like him as a player.
And the fortitude.
Obviously. Yeah. But you got to give a lot of a whole lot of praise to the Celtics player development, in a way that we used to for San Antonio for so long. Like Boston's doing a tremendous job there, not just in the skill set, but like Missoula and the confidence that he instills in guys to just go out there and play and let that thing fly and shoot it again. I don't care. I believe in you.
D'Antoni-esque, huh?
Yeah, 100%. Like that, like somebody that frees you up to not worry about the mistake because they have the confidence in you and that you can play through some of those is huge. I also think he falls into the category of like, not every NBA player is as good as him, but like you'd be surprised what some dudes can do, that you don't think are great given the opportunity to do it. And so when you look at their roster, right, like not to make this a whole Peyton Pritchard thing, and you go down the roster of, Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday, Chris Stapps, Al Horford, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard to give you 40. We're getting I'm sorry, I don't know I'm not going to get into their whole roster, but those are all dudes in a series. I'm not even talking about defensively, which they've been known to be like versatile and highly disruptive when they want to be. But like offensively, that's a lot of weaponry. And so I just think they've played this season the way a champion typically plays a season, which is like, we're not really tripping off of being the number one seed. We're not chasing any records or anything like that. Like we're just going to kind of pace ourselves. And we know that we can at the end of this. And so like, we'll just start picking it up. We'll start picking it up as we get down into the last month of the season.
I just can't wait to see like Boston just become a fucking bully because they have that in them. Just, you know what I mean? Just like, they're going to start doing it. You're going to start seeing it in the first round and as the playoffs go on. I'm excited to see Boston.
Do you know how long it's been? I'm going to keep it real. Do you know how long it's been since on a Saturday I built my day around a NBA basketball game?
Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? What?
Oh, Lakers Celtics.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know. Okay.
No,
right.
I mean, like, I just don't. I mean, I got too much stuff going on, right? Like, so, like, I will tape a game. And then
Raja.
Come back and watch it. But like, I have built my day around like I will be at home to watch that shit live.
It's gonna be a fucking movie. It's gonna be a fucking movie. Where's that? What time is that game?
That's in Boston.
Oh, 5:30. Oh, I'm definitely gonna be watching that at the Chasey Center. Definitely gonna be watching that. It was funny because like the other week, who was playing? It was Warriors. Hornets going on at Chase Center, and it was the same night as like Mavs Lakers. Literally, no one was watching the Warriors game. No one in the stands, no one in the press row. There were just hella just phones and iPads. That's literally what's going to be happening tomorrow night at Chase Center. Two more teams for you, buddy. The Denver Nuggets. We don't really like this. Like we see Jokic's highlights, but then you look at what they've been doing, and it's like yuck, right? Like you see what they've been doing since the All-Star break. Very average team. Have the same problems that they've always had. No bench. Relying heavily on Jokic. I know there's somebody that's going to be in our mentions from Denver. Like, what are you talking about? This happened, this analytic thing. And what about the win shares? But no, like I haven't seen. I don't know, man. I never get a good read on the Denver Nuggets. But like Jokic is great, and that's cool. And
I don't know. I don't know what I would. I mean, you're not developing a bench. You're not developing depth this late in the season. Like you either
who you
have
are.
it. Yeah, you either have it there or you don't. So like I can't tell you find that. They're not a great defensive team. And forgive me if this isn't like, I mean, maybe try to find something down the stretch defensively that you can kind of disrupt and hang your hat on a little bit and just throw a wrinkle at people, because I mean, they're just below middle of the pack defensively in the so like it would be something like that. You are who you are. You know what I tell them? Here's your hope if you're a Denver. That Jokic and Murray just find that magic that they find in a playoff sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, that is your hope if you're Denver, is that they find that magic that they can, that no matter what you do to them defensively, they're playing off of each other and there's no real right answer and they've got you in this blender, and that Michael Porter Jr. is making shots.
But the flip side of that is they get into a long playoff series, they win a playoff series, then they get tired at the second round and they lose off of that, right? Like, fucking Denver. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, all my people in a row.
Yeah, that wasn't super not super enthusiastic about that.
I'm sorry, buddy. I mean, like, you are who you are. I mean, that's fuck. What the fuck you want me to do? I'm sorry. Not sorry, but shit. Speaking of sorry, not sorry, shit. Milwaukee Bucks, who are, finding something at the end as we go down the back stretch of the season. There's just too many things for me and I'm sorry that I asked you the question and I answered it before you can answer.
Go ahead, do your thing.
I just think with the Milwaukee Bucks, like, it's a hard time for me. I'm hard pressed, and I know we had Austin on the pod, and he's a friend of the pod, and all these things. He's just the cast of characters right now that are on this team are who they are, and until they prove that they aren't who they are, like, I'm kind of just going to trust the process here, right? You got Doc Rivers, who has had struggles in the postseason, while everything that Austin said was valid. They're just going to have to prove that they can do it, but I just don't believe in them at this point, right? You have Doc Rivers as the coach. You have Giannis, who's great, but is probably underachieved in terms of championships. And you have Dame, who's aging. You have an aging roster. Are they peaking too early? And what do you want to see from them, Raja?
No, I don't know that they're peaking too early. I think they're another team that's just kind of, doing what they do. They kind of they just kind of understand that as long as they keep themselves in a decent position, what ultimately matters is what they do in the playoffs. I'm just looking at the Eastern Conference real quick as I go through this. Right now, who they have? Indiana. Yeah, listen. I actually like Milwaukee. I think they're a matchup team, though. I think, depending on who they get, the speed of the game, and so on and so forth. I think that kind of would in a way for them more so than other teams kind of dictate what I thought they could do in that series, if that makes sense. Like, but I like them. They're an interesting team. I don't know what they need to do. Forgive me. I think they just keep playing ball. Like, you're pretty good offensively. You're pretty good defensively. I think you're sitting at like 12-10. You're okay. I think they are a team that just, not unlike Boston, there's nothing to prove in the regular season. You want to be playing good, solid basketball. Keep figuring out all of these teams. Again, I'm saying the same shit over and over again, right? The Kyle Kuzma piece. Keep figuring out, the minute delegation and how he fits into that. And then when you get into the playoffs, be ready to hit your stride. Like, be ready to go. Be ready to turn into Damian Lillard from a few years ago and peak Giannis. And that's what that's got to be, right? Like, I could sit here and go over fucking X's and O's, like the pick and roll. I watched him the other night. That looked fine. I mean, Giannis was great. Brooke looked really good. Like, I can't point to anything strategically. I think for them as another team with some age on them and having been in those battles, a lot of guys who have been in the playoffs, like, let's just get there. Let's get there healthy and let's be ready to go.
Yeah. This wasn't even on the list, but I want to shout this team out, and I think they deserve to be. Detroit basketball, the Pistons, who are now the 6th seed, and I think think me and Clifford talked about this earlier, bro. Legitimate shot to if they stay in this seed, legitimate shot to beat the Knicks
Oh,
in a playoff series. And nothing Detroit loves more than beating the shit out of New York, and I think that would be a really fun series. What do you want to see from them? I think they're peaking at the right time.
yeah, I think I would agree with that in terms of peaking. What I'd like to see from them is just to enjoy that ride. Enjoy the ride. This is well, maybe people in Detroit were expecting. I don't know how many of us before the season started would have thought that they could get out of the first round, but I agree with you in terms of that matchup with the Knicks. I don't know that I'd pick them, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I would. I'm not scary like you, man. If we did the playoff preview today, especially after Jalen Brunson, I would just be like, yeah, I'm picking the Pistons.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Jalen Brunson's out, but like, I don't think Jalen Brunson's out for the playoffs. Like, he rolled the shit out of his ankle, but he's gonna be fine.
You know what Cliff said? You know what Cliff said? I texted Cliff, and I'd be forgetting that like y'all are on the East Coast. I just be texting and shit during games. I texted Cliff. I was like, "Yo, this fucking Lakers Knicks series, this Knicks game is nuts." And Cliff responds like early in the morning. I wake up to a text from Cliff saying, "Until Jalen Brunson's ankle fell off." That shit was hilarious to wake up to.
That's a tough. When you come down with nothing protecting your ankle ligament from the full weight of your body and the force of it coming back to the ground, like usually your other foot is on the ground and you step on someone's foot and roll it, like that's a certain amount of pressure. But when you come down out of the air and roll it like that, well, that thing was ugly. But he'll be all right.
Bro, Jalen, did you see him down the stretch, bro? He was hitting some incredible fucking shots, dog. That dude is cold, man. He's
a magician. Yeah, he's a magician. What he does, he's a magician, bro. But again, I was watching it and I got the sense, not that I want to go back to Detroit, but like I was watching that again, and you know, I'm watching the bigger, and I'm sorry, like I always like I wasn't huge, so when I say this, like I'm indicting myself too. Like that bigger bodied 6'7", 6'8", like wing / PG, a la Luka and LeBron, like what they're able to do over the top just with passing and stuff like that. It looks so much easier than when Jalen.
It's like a quarterback. It's like a 6'6" quarterback versus like a Drew Brees, who's great, but like it's just different than a Russell Wilson versus a Tom Brady, just because you can see over the line.
Maybe. You know what's interesting? I've heard a lot of them tell me, like my buddy Danny Cannell I worked with was 6'5". He told me he never saw over a line. He was like, you're looking through windows in the line. He was like, he's like, my linemen were 6'7" with helmets on. I couldn't see over them, which was interesting. I've never played it, so I don't know. But I just took away like Jalen.
Though. I wish you could have seen NFL Raw, but go ahead. Sorry.
Jalen's just, I mean, his looks so much tougher, which makes it even more impressive because of the size and stuff like that. But let me get back to Detroit. What I would really like to see them do is, and I don't know where their psyche is as a team. I'm not around them. But now it's real. Like for most of the season, we're overachieving, we're having fun, like we're playing ball, like this is dope. And now you need to get like greedy. Now you gotta lock in and get greedy and realize that you could mess around and get a playoff series, and then who knows what happens, right? So like that now is time for that magical ride, so to speak. And the vibes that are that to morph into like, hey man, let's get greedy and let's go out there and get us one. And then we'll let the chips fall where they may and have a little mental shift in that, right? Like
kind of like Indiana last year.
Yeah. Like it was a ride. We were the darlings. Everybody was all cool. And to some degree, when you're in a locker room like that, that in and of itself is the achievement.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'd like to see them like, hey man, you know, it's like the same thing as when teams sometimes are chasing like the record. Once they get the record, that was the achievement. And now you have that letdown.
Yeah.
Like I want to see them like refocus, get greedy. Hey, that shit was cool, but we knew we were going to do this the whole time. We're going in there to get a series.
Yeah. Kind of, you want to see that out of the Rockets as well, but they're trending downward. We'll see what happens. All right. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Non-sponsored real one of the week, which means it's all about the vibes, and Raja has to pick a real one of the week. I'm going to take his real one because I'm going first. It is one Russell Westbrook. I don't know if you saw this clip of Russell this week, but a guy came from Korea, I believe, to go see him, and this was like he was like a Russ stan. It was like his fourth or fifth time going to go see Russ, right? And the Nuggets did I guess the Nuggets had won a game, and Russ got the podium or got the post game interview, and they shouted the fan out. Russ went over to the fan, signed his jersey, gave him a hug, and was like, "Thank you, bro." And it was really cool to see that we got Russ stands out here, right? Like that's just dope. Like I felt like even during the peak of Russ's career, there was just such a gap. But there were a lot of Russ stands, but there was a lot of Russ like non-stands. I mean, I know where you stand on the situation, but there was a real gap. It's really good to see people get celebrated out here, and also Russell Westbrook returning the favor. So shout out Russell Westbrook, real one of the week.
A great real one. Let me just say this. I'll say this again, and so we're clear. I'm not necessarily talking about today's Russ or even the last
yesterday's Russ.
three years Russ.
You've gone through a lot, buddy.
No, I'm not talking about that. But hear what I'm saying. That mofo that was prime Russ, if you come at me, and there are a lot of y'all, if you come at me with he wasn't that good, don't talk to me about no goddamn basketball. Don't talk to me about basketball. If you come at me telling me that prime Russ and what that dude was out there doing was not
to ride no fucking AAU gym.
You've lost all credibility with me, dog.
At the Starbucks after the game, don't talk.
Beat it. I see you. Let me go with my my real one. I'm going to give real ones. Ones. First one is going to be LeBron James. This is a multifaceted real one for having the type of like season that he's having at 40 years old and doing shit that like I don't think we've ever seen or will ever see again from an NBA player at this stage of his career. Like unreal, remarkable stuff. For being able to morph as quickly as he has into an off the ball player with Luka. Like last night he was off the ball a lot and has just figured it out like in a way that I didn't know that he would. I give him a lot of credit for that. And then lastly, this is going to sound contradictory, but you got to hear what I'm saying, for running up on Stephen A. Smith last night. Although I disagree.
That's Dad Raw, though. That's Dad Raw.
That because that's your seed, bro. And whether right or wrong.
Nuance when you out here about to fuck nuance. You about to get on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, right or wrong, when you feel like your kid has been threatened, you pop into that mode. And I think whether I agree with him being right or wrong for that reason, it was certainly real. So I give him real.
Sometimes you got to pop up with Show Brothers, right? You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Now
you got to do that.
I do want to give a shout out. This was going to hit close to home for you and Mom Dukes. I'm gonna get a shout out to real one of the week to one Howie Roseman, general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. He re-signed like when no one else would even think about paying Saquon Barkley, and we all saw the damn.
We have Cliff in the chat saying, "Let's fucking go."
Yeah, well, we all saw the Giants in that debacle, and the owners being like, "Hey, man, are we going to resign him? He's our favorite. He's our fans' favorite player." And that their GM, I don't remember his name, was like, nobody's going to give him that." And then the Eagles popped out.
Which is why we're not getting Hard Knocks this year, which is fucking weak.
But like Howie just said, "Look, man, this is culturally how we do things in Philly," and they just rewarded the dude. Like they just blessed Saquon again and. Zach Bond, I think is that how you say his name? Bound? Is it Bond? The
Cliff,
linebacker.
Come on the pod really quickly, Cliff.
But before you go, Cliff, why that's real one is because like culturally, like you are representing and letting people know what's important to you, right? While it is dollars and cents and it's a hard cap league, like they represent what you want your franchise to represent, and you won a championship, and you're rewarding them for that, and I think that's dope.
Man, it's Howie season. You already know what we're doing. Fly Eagles fly, go Birds. Saquon got his bag. Jalen Hurts got his bag last year. A.J. Brown got his bag. We got a bunch of young guys on their first contracts. They're all going to get their bag. Zach Bond, 3 years coming back. Defensive Player of the Year finalist. Definitely got his bag. Well worth it. Look, man, we just do things right in Philly. Well, the football team does at least. The
Eagles do.
The football team does at least. The basketball team, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what's going on with that. But yeah, on the football side of things, bro, we good over here, man. We trying to run it back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to the real one. Shout out to the Eagles. Shout out to Philly Special Podcast, huh? Philly Special. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
I don't want to say John because I probably will say it fucked up. So, I ain't trying to like give.
Wait, say that again? Say that.
No, what? Man, hey, listen. Hey, Cliff, I'm just slow motion with the post and trying to get to the ocean, baby.
You trying to get to that, John?
Must be 21 years and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and over and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. That has been another edition of Real Ones. I am Logan Murdock. That is Raja Bell. That is Cliff of the fucking Augustin. I have to go work out and get my ass kicked at the gym. I will see you guys on Tuesday. All the shits. Bye.